You are standing in a crowded elevator on a very hot Tuesday afternoon. Someone nearby hasn't used deodorant, and your nose immediately sounds the alarm. You subtly step away while checking your own underarms for any sign of betrayal. We spend billions every year to make sure we smell like nothing at all. Modern life has turned a natural biological process into a source of deep social anxiety. But now, imagine doing that same elevator ride in the middle of ancient Rome. Or perhaps standing in a crowded market in the middle of a sun-drenched Egyptian city. Back then, the scent of a human body was just a fact of life. It was the background noise of the ancient world that everyone simply accepted. If your brain is currently recoiling at the thought, welcome to Stickwise. Hit that subscribe button because we specialize in the beautifully weird reality of being human. So how did our ancestors keep from smelling like a locker room in a heat wave? The answer reveals a world where scent was medicine and also a status symbol. It completely changes how you view your morning shower and your expensive bottle of cologne. Let's start by debunking the most common myth about the ancient world. People often assume that our ancestors were just perpetually covered in layers of filth. We imagine them as mud-streaked figures who simply gave up on personal hygiene altogether. This couldn't be further from the truth, according to the hard archaeological evidence. Ancient humans were actually obsessed with their personal scent and spent hours managing it. They just used tools that would look absolutely terrifying to a modern bathroom user. Take the ancient Egyptians who lived in one of the hottest climates on Earth. They didn't have aerosol cans or roll-on gels to combat the desert sun. Instead, the elite members of society wore literal cones of scented fat on their heads. These cones were made of animal wax, or fat infused with lilies and cinnamon. As the heat of the banquet rose, the wax would slowly melt down their faces. It acted as a constant, slow-release perfume that coated their hair and their expensive clothes. Imagine walking into a party and seeing everyone wearing melting candles on their heads. This served a very specific purpose for ancient humans navigating high-stakes social events. It provided a cooling sensation while masking the saltier notes of human exertion. Which is why you feel that weirdly satisfying relief when you apply a cooling lotion. Your brain is still seeking that same temperature drop that the wax cones provided, but if you weren't wearing a fat cone, you were likely reaching for the razor. Egyptians believed that body hair was the primary trap for all bad odors. Both men and women would frequently shave their armpits and their entire bodies. They even used a substance called natron, which is a natural salt found in dry lake beds. Natron is the same chemical they used to preserve bodies for the afterlife. On a living human, it acted as a powerful drying agent to stop moisture. This shows that our ancestors understood the chemistry of sweat long before modern laboratories existed. They were essentially using mummification salts to keep their armpits dry during the day. Every time you use a talcum powder or a dry shampoo, you are doing this. You are following a script written by people in the Nile Valley thousands of years ago. Now, you might be wondering how they handled the bacteria that actually causes the smell. They didn't know about microbes, but they certainly knew what worked to kill the funk. Ancient Romans and Greeks took a completely different approach to the daily cleaning ritual. They didn't use soap in the way we understand it today in our modern bathrooms. Soap was considered a harsh industrial cleaner, rather than something for the delicate human skin. Instead, the Romans would slather their entire bodies in thick layers of expensive olive oil. They would then walk into a public bathhouse to let the heat open their pores. Once they were sufficiently greasy, they didn't reach for a towel or a sponge. They reached for the strigil, which was a curved metal tool used for scraping skin. They would literally scrape the oil and the sweat and the dead skin away. It was a mechanical removal of everything that could possibly make a person smell bad. This was a deeply social experience where citizens would scrape each other in the baths. Think about how much you love a deep exfoliating scrub at a high-end spa. That satisfying feeling of shedding old skin is an ancient Roman survival mechanism for hygiene. They even applied perfume to the soles of their feet and their household pets. Scent was a way of declaring your rank and your level of civilization to others. If you smelled like oil and myrrh, you were a person of high social standing. If you smelled like raw sweat, you were likely a person of the lower classes. But wait a minute, Because the mystery of ancient scent goes even deeper than that. How did people in ancient China manage their smell without the use of metal scrapers? They turned to the world of aromatic plants and sophisticated chemistry to stay fresh. After washing their laundry, they would treat the fabric with a mixture called scented alkali. This was a blend of starch and various spices that kept clothes smelling like flowers. Men and women also wore small silk bags filled with herbs called zhangbao on their belts. These sachets would release a cloud of fragrance every time the person moved around. It was a way of carrying a personal climate of scent wherever they happened to go. Every time you put a scented dryer sheet in your laundry, you are doing this. You are subconsciously trying to recreate the aromatic shield used by ancient Chinese dynasties. But the real shocker comes when we look at the civilizations across the Atlantic Ocean. When Spanish explorers first arrived in Mexico, they were stunned by the Aztec people. They expected to find primitive conditions, but found a city cleaner than any in Europe. The Aztecs used copal gum and balsam oil as direct deodorants on their skin. They built massive public toilets and employed 1,000 people to sweep the streets daily. To the Aztecs, a bad smell wasn't just a nuisance. It was a sign of chaos. They maintained a level of public sanitation that wouldn't be seen again for centuries. This sense of order is why you feel stressed when your house is a mess. Your brain associates a clean environment with safety and social stability just like them. But what happened when these ancient traditions met the reality of the European Middle Ages? This is where the story of human scent takes a very dark and strange turn. A theory emerged that became the dominant way people understood health for 1,000 years. It was called the miasma theory, and it suggested that bad air caused all disease. If you could smell something rotting, it meant the plague was literally in the wind. Scent suddenly shifted from being a fashion choice to being a literal shield for survival. Wealthy people began carrying pomanders, which were perforated metal bowls filled with heavy spices. They would hold these bowls to their noses when walking through any crowded city area. They weren't just trying to smell nice, they were trying to stay alive and healthy. They also covered their floors in strewing herbs like lavender and meadowsweet to keep air fresh. Walking across the floor would crush the leaves and release a burst of natural perfume. This is the direct ancestor of the scented candle you have sitting on your desk. You aren't just making the room smell like vanilla. You are signaling a safe space. But the most important invention for managing scent during this era wasn't a perfume. It was a simple piece of fabric called the linen shift worn under heavy clothes. People in the Middle Ages realized that linen absorbed sweat better than wool or leather. They would boil their linen frequently to remove the trapped oils and the body salts. Changing your linen was considered far more important than actually washing your skin with water. If your linen was white and clean, you were considered a very hygienic person. This is why you feel the urgent need to change your shirt after a flight. You are relying on the ancient logic that the fabric is the true scent barrier. But if everyone was managing their smell so well, when did it become a problem? Why do we feel so much shame about a little bit of sweat in the modern world? The answer lies in a massive marketing campaign that changed the human psyche forever. Before the early 1900s, having a human smell was just considered part of being alive. It wasn't a social failure. It was just the reality of having a physical body. Then came the invention of a product called odorono in the year 1912. It was the first modern antiperspirant, but at first, nobody wanted to buy it. People didn't think sweating was something that needed to be stopped or even hidden. The company had to hire advertisers to create a brand new type of human fear. They ran ads suggesting that women were losing their husbands because of underarm offense. They suggested that your friends were secretly laughing at you behind your back for smelling. They invented the concept of social anxiety related to scent to sell more product. Sales skyrocketed as people began to view their own natural scent as a social crime. We transitioned from using scent as a status symbol to using it as a mask. We stopped trying to smell like lilies and started trying to smell like absolutely nothing. This transition has left us in a state of constant vigilance about our own bodies. But when you look at the broad history of ancient humans, you see a different story. You see a species that used resin from trees and ash from fires to stay fresh. You see the Himba women using red ochre and butterfat to protect their skin today. You see the Dinka people using burnt dung ash to neutralize odor and ward off bugs. These weren't primitive habits. They were sophisticated answers to a harsh and hot environment. Our ancestors were scientists of the senses who mastered the world around them with fragrance. They didn't hide from the fact that they were living, breathing, and sweating animals. They embraced the challenge of staying clean in a world without running water and soap. They used the resources of the earth to create a personal sanctuary of pleasant scent. Every time you reach for your deodorant, you are participating in a 10,000-year ritual. You are continuing the work of the Egyptian priest and the Roman bather and Aztec sweeper. We have always cared about how we present ourselves to the rest of the tribe. It is one of the most basic ways we show respect for the people around us. But we should also remember that a little bit of scent is just a sign of life. It is the proof that you are moving and working and existing in the real world. Our ancestors didn't have 24-hour protection, but they had a deep connection to nature. They understood that the earth provides everything we need to stay healthy and vibrant. So the next time you feel a bit of sweat on a hot summer afternoon, don't panic. Think of the Roman citizen with their strigil, or the Chinese scholar with their sachet. Think of the massive effort humans have always made to feel comfortable in their skin. You are part of a long line of survivors who figured out how to be fresh. You aren't failing a social test. You are just participating in the ancient human experience. Your body is doing exactly what it was designed to do in a physical world. And you have thousands of years of human ingenuity backing up your morning grooming routine. Scent is the invisible history of our species, written in flowers and oils and ash. It is the bridge between the ancient forest and the modern office building we work in. We have always wanted to smell like the best version of ourselves for the tribe. And that is a beautiful thing that connects us to every human who ever lived. You are carrying the aromatic legacy of 1,000 generations in your very skin. It is a reminder that we are never truly alone, even in our most private moments. We are always walking in the footsteps of the people who came before us in time. They found ways to stay fresh in the desert, and the jungle, and the frozen north. And we continue that legacy every single morning when we get ready for the day. It is a testament to our adaptability and our deep desire for social connection and harmony. We are a species that cares about the details of life and the comfort of others. So breathe easy and know that you are doing just fine as a human being. You are the result of millions of successful grooming sessions across the vast span of history. You were never going to let the funk win because your ancestors already beat it. Stay fresh and keep wondering about the incredible journey of the human tribe through time. You are a living miracle of hygiene and history walking through the modern world today. And if that makes you feel a little better about your sweat, you are welcome. You are not a social failure. You are a survivor with a very long memory. Subscribe to Stickwise for more deep dives into why we do the things we do. We will be here to explain the history behind your most basic modern habits and fears. Because being human is the most interesting story ever told in the history of the world. And you are the main character of that story every single day you wake up. Keep exploring the past to understand your present and build a better future for yourself. You are part of the most resilient and creative species to ever walk the Earth's surface. And that is something worth smelling good for, no matter where you happen to be. See you in the next one as we uncover more secrets of our ancient human family. You are never just a modern person. You are an ancient human in a new world. And your scent is the proof that you are still here and still thriving today. Good luck out there in the heat, and remember to carry your history with pride. Your ancestors are watching, and they would probably be very impressed by your showerhead. They did the hard work so you could enjoy the luxury of a fresh start. Make the most of it, and stay curious about the world and your place in it. Every scent tells a story of survival and adaptation in a world that never stops. You are the narrator of that story now, so make it a good and fragrant one. The world is waiting for you to make your mark and leave your own scent. So, go out there and be the best ancient human you can possibly be today. It is the only way to truly honor the people who paved the way for us. One small spray of perfume is a salute to 10,000 years of human effort. Don't forget the power of the small things that make us feel human and alive. They are the threads that bind the entire human story together across the vast ages. And you are the one holding the thread right now in the modern age of life. You're not dirty, you are just carrying the ancient scent of a survivor. Hit the bell icon to never miss a deep dive into your own history.